It's 2 a.m. and your phone buzzes. It's the alert no one wants to get. A security breach. Most people would panic, but not you. Why? Because you've mastered the system that keeps everything under control before it spirals out of hand. The system is ISO 27001. Now imagine walking into the office the next morning and everyone looks at you, the person who saw the problem coming and stopped it in its tracks. That's the power of ISO 27001. More than just a framework, it's what makes you irreplaceable in your organization. So, how do you get to become this person I just described? That's what you'll be learning in this video. And trust me, by the end of this masterclass, you would have a hands-on, actionable guide for establishing a robust information security management system and then achieving ISO 27001 certification. I'm Tolulope Michael, a cybersecurity expert and career coach at Excel My Cyber. It's my pleasure to take you through this comprehensive masterclass on ISO 27001 implementation. Before diving into ISO 27001 specifics, let's take a moment to grasp our current reality in terms of security. Cybersecurity threats have grown in sophistication, frequency, and even impact, from high-profile breaches affecting major corporations to the increased regulatory requirements for data protection like GDPR and CCPA. Falling out of line with these rules can cost businesses millions. So what's the solution? ISO 27001. But before we break down what it does, let's be clear on what ISO 27001 actually is. Simply put, it's an international standard that helps businesses secure their most valuable assets, data. It's a framework that doesn't just look at outside threats like hackers, but also internal threats like human error or misuse. The purpose is not just lock everything down, though it helps you align security strategy with your business objectives, ensuring that you're protecting what matters most while growing your organization. So, why does this framework work? Let's talk about 3 major pillars that make it so effective. Think of ISO 27001 as the 3 legs of a stool. If one leg breaks, the whole thing collapses. The first leg is confidentiality, meaning only the right people can access your data. The second is integrity, making sure that no one changes or corrupts your data. Finally, we have availability, making sure that your data is there when you need it. These pillars work together to keep your organization secure. But here's the thing. If even one pillar falters, the whole system can collapse. And that's why you need to know how ISO 27001 helps you build a strong foundation around these 3 pillars. Imagine you finally landed your dream job and you're the person responsible for protecting a company's data. Now, after a few years or even months of everything going smoothly, you resume work one day only to find out that the systems have been hacked. Millions of customer records have been exposed, panic set in, customers are furious, fines are piling up, and the company's name is being dragged through the mud. The worst part, everyone is looking at you for answers. ISO 27001 helps you avoid this type of nightmare scenarios. How? By implementing it. By implementing ISO 27001, you build a wall of trust between you and your client. You show them that their data is safe with you. And you also protect yourself from falling out of compliance with regulations. Yes, without leadership commitment, ISO 27001 is just a meaningless label. You need a backing of your C-suite or board to get the resources and support necessary. Once you've gotten them on board, the next step is to define the scope of your ISMS. Now, and why is that? You want to know, are you focusing on just one part of the business or is this company wide? Okay, because building an implementation team would normally come after this. These are the people who would actually make ISO 27001 happen. But here is the question. How do you define the right scope for your ISMS? That's what I want to talk about next. The thing is, defining your ISMS scope is a balancing act. Okay, on the one hand, you want to cover all critical areas where data is important. On the other hand, you don't want to stretch yourself too thin by covering everything. So what do? Focus on what's most essential, departments, regions, or systems where data breach will cause the most damage. Okay, the scope needs to align with your business objectives and risk. And once you've identified the scope, then it's time to dive into the core of ISO 27001, which is risk management. Okay, now here's the truth: risks are everywhere. Whether it's a hacker trying to break into your system or an employee accidentally sharing sensitive information, risks come in all shapes and sizes. The key to ISO 27001 is managing these risks, not eliminating them entirely. You might ask me, okay, how do I start? You start by identifying what the risks are, how likely are they to happen, and how bad the consequences will be, okay, if they happen. Now, once you know that, you can create a plan to treat this risk, whether that means mitigating, transferring, accepting, or even avoiding them. But how exactly do we treat this risk? Let's break it down, okay? Like I said earlier, you've got 4 options, okay? You can mitigate the risk by reducing its impact, say by installing stronger security measures. Secondly, you can transfer the risk to someone else, like advising your organization to buy cybersecurity insurance. You could also choose to accept the risk if it's minor, okay? Or in some cases, you can avoid it altogether. But here is what you need to know. Whichever path you choose, you need a solid, actionable risk treatment plan. And once you have this plan, you will need to document everything, because if it's not documented, it's like it never happened. And that brings us to how to document your ISMS. I know documentation might sound boring, but it's crucial. Without it, your ISMS is just a bunch of good ideas floating around. You need clear, detailed policies and procedures that everyone can follow. Who is responsible for what? What's the procedure if data breach happens? Every question needs to be answered in writing. And the documentation needs to be accessible, okay? If it's buried somewhere, no one can find it, it's useless. But having a document everyone can refer to is not your final destination either. There's still more to be done, okay? So you have a great document with guidelines. Now the question is, how do people use it? That is where training comes in. Now let's talk about how you get everyone on board. Like I often say, the most secure system in the world can still be brought down by a careless employee clicking on a phishing link. Reports show that 90% of data breaches come from human error. And that's why training is so important. Every single employee needs to understand that they have a role in protecting the organization, and not just you, the cybersecurity person. Whether it's spotting a phishing email, creating a strong password, or even reporting suspicious activity, training needs to be continuous and relevant. Security awareness needs to be a part of your culture, okay? Not just a one-time event. But how do you know if the training is effective? How? Now, that is where monitoring and auditing come in. ISO 27001 is not a one-time project. It's something you have to monitor and audit continuously. Okay, regular audit would help you make sure everything is working as it should. And monitoring tools like SIEM, popularly known as Security Information and Event Management Tool, will allow you to detect problems in real time. But monitoring isn't just about catching problems. Okay, your aim should be to improve your system over time. So continuous improvement means that your ISMS gets stronger and more resilient as new threats emerge. But audits are just one piece of the puzzle. There's also the part of incident management where you prepare for when things go wrong. Like I said before, even with the best security in place, incidents are going to happen. That's just the reality of the world we live in. The key is to be prepared. You need a formal process in place for handling security breaches. Whether it's a data breach or phishing attack, the process should clearly define who is responsible for what and how incident will be handled. The quicker you can detect, respond, and recover from an incident, the less damage it will cause. But the question is, how do you prepare for something that hasn't happened yet? Now, let's take a look at some real-world examples of effective incident management. Let's talk about Capital One's 2019 data breach. A hacker exploited a misconfigured firewall and got access to the personal data of over 100 million people. Not the kind of stuff you want to deal with, right? But because Capital One had a solid incident response plan, they acted fast. They secured the systems, worked with law enforcement, and within days, the hacker was caught. This shows how important it is to be prepared. But the story doesn't end there, okay? After the breach was contained, they overhauled their cloud security to make sure it didn't happen again. And that's where the next thing we'll be talking about comes in. Reviewing and improving your system to make sure it doesn't happen again. After every incident, whether it's big or small, you need to conduct a post-incident review. What went wrong? How did the attackers get in? What could have been done better? This is where you identify weaknesses in your system and then you update your ISMS to address them. Continuous improvement is the backbone of ISO 27001. Every incident as well is an opportunity to learn and to grow. That makes your system stronger for the future. Now that we've covered incident management, let's move on to the certification audit. Okay, that's the final step to getting certified. Once your ISMS is in place, the final step is the certification audit. This is where external auditor comes in and then assess whether your ISMS meets all the requirements of ISO 27001. They will look at your policies, controls, and your processes to ensure that everything is in order. And if you pass the audit, you'll be awarded the ISO 27001 certification, which is a huge accomplishment. But the journey doesn't end there either. Now let's talk about what happens after you get certified. Okay, ISO 27001 certification isn't something you achieve once and forget about. Once you're certified, you will need to maintain your certification through regular surveillance audits. These audits make sure your ISMS still works as it should. Certification is valid for 3 years, but during that time, you are expected to continuously improve your system. Okay, if you're not improving, you're falling behind. And in cybersecurity, that is a dangerous place to be. But how do you prepare for this audit? How? That's the question. And I'm glad to tell you that there's a process to it. Okay, to stay certified, you will need to pass surveillance audit. Okay, the key to success is preparation. Conduct regular audit to catch any issues before the external auditors do. Keep your documentation up to date and make sure you review and address any non-conformities from past audits. Surveillance audits are a chance to show that your ISMS is not just compliant, but also constantly improving. Now, speaking of improvement, how do you keep improving over time? In the world of cybersecurity, standing still is the same as falling behind. So, continuous improvement is essential to staying ahead of threats, using tools like SIEM to monitor your network in real time and catch potential issues before they become a big problem. Regular vulnerability assessments are also key to identifying new weaknesses in your system. As new threats and technologies emerge, you will need to update your ISMS to keep it effective. Okay. Now, who should be leading this effort? Who? Let's talk about the role of leadership in continuous improvement. It's very important to know that leadership plays a huge role in the success of ISO 27001. If the leaders of your organization are not invested in security, it's going to be an uphill battle. Leadership needs to set the tone by investing in the right tools, training employees, and encouraging a culture of continuous improvement. When leadership is on board, it empowers the entire organization to take security seriously. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, and it's the importance of integrating ISO 27001 with other standards. ISO 27001 doesn't just work in isolation. In fact, integrating it with other standards like ISO 9001, which is quality management, and ISO 22301, business continuity, can streamline your processes and reduce duplication. Now imagine being able to tackle security, quality, and continuity all in one seamless system. Imagine that. This integration can also strengthen your organization's resilience, making sure that you are not just protected from cybersecurity threat, but also prepared for any operational disruptions. Now, I believe the next question you have is, how do companies actually do this? That's a good question. A perfect example of a company that has done this successfully, Atos, a global leader in IT and digital transformation, is an excellent example of successfully integrating multiple ISO standards. By combining ISO 27001 which is information security, ISO 9001, which is quality management, and ISO 22301, which is business continuity. Atos not only enhanced their data security, but also improved their operational efficiency and resilience across global operations. These integrations allow them to manage risk better, optimize resource allocation, and ensure business continuity even during crisis. It's a clear demonstration of how aligning multiple standards can strengthen security while maintaining smooth, uninterrupted operations. Okay, so beyond just certification, what are the long-term benefits of this integration for organizations? The benefit of ISO 27001 go far beyond certification. Let's take this. For starters, it builds trust with your customers and partners. When people know their data is secure with you, they are more likely to do business with you. It also reduces the risk of data breaches, which is, as we discussed earlier, cost millions. And then there is the internal benefit. Okay, ISO 27001 drives efficiency. Employees become more aware of security and your processes run smoother. Okay, but what does the future hold for ISO 27001? That's a good question. Everyone has been asking that. The world is changing and ISO 27001 is evolving with it. For instance, artificial intelligence and automation are starting to play a bigger role in security. They help organizations monitor and respond to threats in real time, often faster than any human could. Then there's the Internet of Things, okay, IoT. As more devices become more connected, new risks emerge. So ISO 27001 needs to adapt to address these vulnerabilities. But one thing is for sure, real-time threat intelligence will be the cornerstone of future security strategies. Okay, so how can your organization prepare for this? And this is for your own benefit, so keep watching. The first step in preparing your organization for the future is encouraging leadership to adopt AI and automation to proactively monitor threats. Okay, the next is addressing IoT specific risk with targeted controls that prevent breaches or connected devices. Lastly, your information system management system needs to be continuously evolving, all right? Because staying ahead of new threats requires adapting and updating your security measures as the landscape also changes. So now the next question is, who should lead this charge? Once again, I'm glad to inform you, it begins with leadership. So, what is the role of leadership in future-proofing your ISMS? Leadership is key to future-proofing your organization's security. It's not just about saying, let's adopt AI. Leadership must drive innovation and ensure there's continuous investment in the right tools. Leadership also needs to encourage a culture of adaptability where employees are not only aware of security, but are actively involved in keeping the organization secure. See, this kind of mindset keeps you ahead of the curve. And speaking of leadership, let's look at an example of a company that is doing it right. A classic example of this case is Microsoft. Yes, their leadership didn't just talk about AI, they put it into practice. They implemented AI-driven security solutions that detect and respond to threats faster than ever before. This resulted in a significant reduction in response times, allowing Microsoft to stay ahead of emerging threats. This is what happens when leadership drives innovation and security together. But here is the question though, how can we tie all of this back to ISO 27001? ISO 27001 isn't a one and done certification. It's an ongoing journey, so you will need to regularly audit your system, stay on top of new risks, and continuously improve your processes, meaning being proactive is essential. Think of it like a fitness routine. You don't just hit the gym once and expect to stay fit forever. You need to work at it consistently, okay? And just like a fitness, the result will show over time. So what are the next steps to maintaining your certification? What do you do? After certification, your focus should shift to maintaining and improving your ISMS, okay? Regular internal audits are key at this point to spotting potential weaknesses before they become bigger issues. And here is something important, okay? Security is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the IT team's job. Every department should be involved in maintaining a secure environment. Now, how do you keep up with new risks and challenges? Again, that is where recertification comes into play. Yes, recertification. Every 3 years, your organization will need to go through a recertification audit. This is a full external audit where everything from your policies to your security controls is reviewed. It's like a checkup to make sure your system is still running smoothly. Now, preparing for recertification means addressing any gaps identified during surveillance audit and then making sure your ISMS is up to date. See, audits may be stressful, but they are necessary and they must be prepared for. Okay, so how do you make sure that you're ready for audit? How? Getting ready for recertification starts with conducting internal audits. Okay, you want to think of it as a dress rehearsal for the real thing. This allows you to catch any issues early and fix them before the external auditors come in. You will also need to update your documentation and controls to reflect any changes in your organization or the cybersecurity landscape. But what happens if you fail an audit? That's why you need to know how to address non-conformities. Okay? First, know that failing an audit isn't the end of the world. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. So if you encounter a non-conformity, the first step is to identify the root cause. Why did this happen? Once you know the reason, then you can implement corrective actions to fix the problem. But you're not going to stop there. You need to put long-term solutions in place to make sure the issue does not happen again. See, this is no easy task either, I know. And that's where tools come in to save the day. Okay, to stay compliant, you will need the right tools. Okay, governance, risk, and compliance platforms help you manage all the documentation and processes involved in ISO 27001. SIM 2, for instance, gives you real-time monitoring capabilities to detect threats before they become breaches. And don't forget about vulnerability scanning. This allows you to proactively identify weak spots in your system and then patch them before attackers can exploit them. But what if we could take this a step further? Now, imagine being able to predict threats even before they emerge. This is where AI steps in. It's not just about reacting to what's already happening. You have to be able to anticipate what's coming next. Okay, one factor transforming this process is AI. But how exactly does this help? You've probably heard a lot about all the amazing things we can now do thanks to AI. Well, in cybersecurity, AI is a huge deal because of its ability to spot anything unusual and react in real time, stopping threats before they even have a chance to cause damage. Companies like Darktrace are already using AI that learns from every little event to get even better at defending systems. But AI doesn't do this alone. It works hand in hand with other tech like cloud computing, and that's where things get really interesting. Yes. Now, everyone is talking about moving to the cloud. How do you keep everything safe up there? ISO 27001 has your back as well. Yes, it helps you lock down your cloud storage, making sure your data is secure even if you're using multiple cloud providers like Google Cloud or AWS. See, the trick is managing the risk, especially if you're using more than one cloud. This is where encryption steps in as well. Encrypting your data means that even if someone gets their hands on it, they won't be able to read it. Now, let's dig into how this plays out when you're juggling multiple cloud platforms. So what happens when you mix cloud and on-premise systems? You get hybrid cloud setups, which offer flexibility, but also some extra security headaches. Keeping track of your data when it's spread across multiple platforms can be very tough, okay? But guess what? ISO 27001 provides a solid framework to help manage this risk. It guides you on things like continuous monitoring, access controls, and encryption, making sure that your data is secure no matter where it is. Companies like IBM are leading the way right now, okay, showing you how to stay safe while still getting the flexibility of hybrid cloud. But as tech moves forward, new challenges are on the horizon. And on that note, let's talk about the latest trend. Now, looking at the future, tech like quantum computing and blockchain are set to shake things up in cybersecurity. Quantum computing, for instance, has the potential to crack the encryption method we rely on today. See, blockchain is a major one to watch out for on this as well, because with blockchain, we can look forward to secure, transparent transactions that are hard to tamper with and perfect for audit trails. And then, of course, 5G. With faster data speed and more connected devices, the way we think about security has changed. That's why staying adaptable is key. And that's where automation comes in handy. Now, let's be honest, no one loves manual audits. But guess what? You don't have to. Automation is here to take the grunt work out of compliance. Okay? So by automating routine tasks like audit and risk assessment, you can free up time to focus on the bigger picture. Okay? For instance, tools driven by AI can spot potential compliance issues before they become big problems. They can even automatically respond to threats as they pop up, just like having a 24/7 security team. Google is a great example of a company that is leveraging automation for compliance, and you can encourage your organization to do the same. Okay, but of all these efforts and strategies we have looked at towards securing your organization will be useless if they only work for the present. Okay, so what next? How can you future-proof your security strategies? We're all aware of how fast the tech world is moving, and cybersecurity needs to keep up. Now, to future-proof your security, you need to stay adaptable. Okay, AI can help you do that by constantly assessing risk and adjusting your defense in real time. But it's not just about AI. You've got to be ready to integrate emerging tech, things like edge computing and blockchain, into your security strategy. Tesla is already doing this. Okay, they use AI to spot vulnerabilities in their systems automatically. The key is blending these new tools with your overall security framework. And you must remember that it's not just about the tech setup. You must also align this with your bigger goals. As a security professional, your role isn't just about deploying technology. You must also make sure that AI-driven solutions are aligned with your organization's broader risk management strategies. AI can help safeguard business continuity by detecting and neutralizing threats before they can disrupt operations. Okay? The real-time data generated from AI tools also provide insight that can guide decision-making at every level, from your team to leadership. So you're not just reacting to incidents, you're actively contributing to shaping a secure environment that supports the company's strategic goals. But as your organization grows, how can you scale this security practice effectively? As your organization expands, your responsibilities grow as well. So scaling security practices, especially in a global or distributed team, requires more than just having AI in place. ISO 27001 provides a solid framework for making sure that your organization standards are consistent across multiple regions and teams. You play a key role in adapting these frameworks to your organization's growing needs. Okay? AI-driven solutions can help monitor security across distributed operations, leading to compliance with ISO standard no matter where your teams are located. So it's up to you to implement these solutions effectively and see to it that security keeps pace with organizational growth. Now let's look at how you can apply these strategies to remote hybrid teams. In today's work environment, more teams are operating remotely or in hybrid setups. As a cybersecurity professional, you're responsible for ensuring that remote access is secure, okay? That employees are following security protocols, and that AI-driven solutions are monitoring vulnerabilities. AI is also relevant here to help flag risks like unsecure Wi-Fi or personal device usage, okay? Because you don't want your employees to be using their personal device to do your company's job. And this allows you to act quickly to maintain a strong security posture. By following ISO 27001 guidelines, you can secure collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams or Zoom with proper configuration. Your role is to make sure everyone in your organization understands and complies with these security measures, okay? Maintaining a unified and secure remote workforce. Still, none of this is achievable without leadership pulling its weight. Leadership plays a big part in keeping your security on point. Whether you're leading a team or working under someone else's leadership, it's essential that security is a priority from the top down. Good leaders set clear policies, especially for remote work, and establish governance structures that will keep AI and cloud security in check. But with the fast pace of change in technology, how do you keep learning and growing at the same time? Whether it's AI, cloud computing, or something new like quantum security, you need to stay on top of the trends. Earlier, if you remember, I mentioned how important employee training is. Now, to take it a step further, you don't just need to help train employees. The trainings must be tailored to the needs of the team. Is it an on-site team, remote, or a hybrid situation? This will inform what your training entails. Companies like Amazon are doing this really well by providing ongoing cybersecurity training for all employees. This approach ensures that you're always ready for what's next. But as we look to the future, one of the most pressing issues your team and your organization will need to navigate is the growing complexity of data privacy and sovereignty in our increasingly globalized world. Now, this is very key. See, data privacy is a hot topic right now, especially when your data is spread across multiple regions, okay? Each country has its own rules, like GDPR in Europe or China's cybersecurity law. It's the job of a cybersecurity professional to lead the way in navigating them. Now, this is another spot where ISO 27001 shines. It gives you a clear framework to handle data securely, no matter where it's stored. Take Microsoft Azure as an example. They have data centers in different regions to comply with local laws, okay, which helps them stay in line with regulations. As these privacy concerns grow, encryption becomes more critical. I have touched on this before, but now let's look at why encryption is a key piece of the puzzle in modern cybersecurity. Encryption is your first line of defense when it comes to securing data, whether it's stored in the cloud or on your device, okay? End-to-end encryption ensures that no one can read your data except those who are meant to. And this protection extends whether your data is in motion, like when it's being transferred between systems, or at rest, okay, meaning just sitting on your storage. But as we have said, today's encryption will not stand up to quantum computing. That's why organizations are starting to look into quantum safe encryption techniques to ensure that their data stays protected as technology evolves. But encryption is only one part of the solution. Another key strategy is adopting a zero trust approach. Okay, zero trust is all about not assuming anyone inside or outside your network can be trusted by default. Every user, every device, every time they try to access your system, they have to prove who they are. This might sound like overkill, but it's becoming essential as remote work and cloud computing make traditional security models less effective. Okay, ISO 27001 aligns perfectly with zero trust because it already focuses on strict access controls and continuous monitoring. Several top organizations have already embraced this model with great success, and this has reduced their exposure to insider threats. But zero trust isn't the only thing shaping the future of security. Okay, ISO 27001 itself is evolving as new technologies emerge. So what is next for ISO 27001 and how is it adapting to stay relevant in the age of AI, automation, and cloud security? ISO 27001 is not a static standard. It's evolving just like the tech world around us. As AI and automation grows, so too will the focus on integrating these tools into your security framework. Okay, cloud security is also becoming a bigger deal as organizations move and more of their operations online. And let's not forget real-time threat intelligence. Okay, keeping an eye on what is happening in your systems in real time is going to be critical to staying secure. But there is more to consider, guys, especially when we think about the long-term impact that ISO 27001 can have on your organization's success. ISO 27001 won't just help you avoid fines or stay compliant. It will also help you build trust with your customers and partners. Okay, this is because when people know their data is secure with you, they are more likely to stick around. It also reduces the likelihood of costly data breaches, protecting your bottom line, and perhaps most importantly, it makes your business more resilient. When your security is strong, your entire organization can weather challenges more effectively. So now, let's talk about your next steps after today's session. Now that you've learned these essentials, it's time to focus on your personal next steps. Start small, focusing on key areas you can control, but keep the bigger picture in mind. ISO 27001 can seem overwhelming, but you don't have to tackle it all at once. You want to begin with foundational elements, okay? And as you grow in your role, so will your ability to shape broader security strategies grow. Also, this is very key. Collaboration is necessary. Work closely with your team to ensure that security isn't just one person's job, it's a shared responsibility. And finally, never lose sight of continuous improvement. Always be on the lookout for ways to refine your skills and adapt to new challenges. So guys, if today's session got you thinking, there's plenty more to dive into on this channel. I'll be sharing more content on cybersecurity, ISO 27001, and how to level up your security strategies in future videos. So make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop and get notified when the next video drops. Do you have questions or thoughts? Please drop them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them as best as I can. Thanks for being part of today's session, and I hope I've been able to leave you better than I met you. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.